Hello Year 1 and welcome to Wednesday's literacy lesson. I'm just going to share my screen with you so you can find out what it is we're going to be doing today. So we are going to be exploring how do brilliant writers segment to spell. Because it's okay writing instructions and thinking about all these brilliant things that we can put into our instructions, but one thing we need to make sure is that we're spelling those words correctly, because otherwise it could all get really muddled and maybe somebody will do the wrong thing because they've read the words wrong. So to warm ourselves up, we're going to look at our common exception words. And then we're going to have a go at segmenting to spell to create a list of ingredients. You're going to help me to do this. We're going to look for it together and look for the things that we really need to do when we're listing our ingredients. Then I would like you to have a go at creating your own idea for some magical clothes. You're going to draw it for me and then you're going to label them. And finally, I'm wondering if you can spot the mistakes that I've made, which will be just a fun little activity to finish off our lesson. So let's get started. Now, if you could grab for me a pencil and a piece of paper, I would like you today to have a go at writing these words down. Okay, so you are going to be looking at them and copying them. And as you're copying them, I'm going to talk through what makes them tricky. Keep these pieces of paper because tomorrow we're going to play a game with them. Okay, so the first word we're going to look at is come. Now, if I try and sound out come, come. The part that's tricking us is this o and the e. I don't make those sounds. If I sounded out this word, come, it's completely wrong. So we just need to know that when we're spelling come, it's e. Or we can say the letter names, which is C-O-M-E. Have a go at writing that down. Pause if you need to, and then join us again to see what our next word is. My. Now I can hear the in my, and the bit that's tricking us is this letter here. This is a Y, or we call it a Y in our sounds. Now this is making the I sound, and that's the part that's tricking us. Again, pause if you need to, and write this word down. His. Now when we say his, the bit that's tricking us is this. We can still hear our H and our I, but the S is making a Z sound. So we need to remember that it is a S or an S. So we have our H-I-S. Pause here and write this word down. Our next one is some. So this is very closely linked to come. When we sound out some, some, this, or the O, as we should say, is making the sound. So we need to remember that this part is tricking us. So we say S-O-M-E. S-O-M-E. Pause here and write this word down. Were. Now, were is a tricky word, isn't it? So this part is tricking us. I can almost hear the here, but I can't hear this sound. So we just need to remember when we say were, it's W-E-R-E. W-E-R-E. Pause here if you need to and write this word down. By. So a little bit like my, the Y is making the I sound. So this is tricking us. So we say B-Y, B-Y, by. Pause and write this word down. The next one is one. Now the whole of one is tricking us. It sounds like it should be a w-a-n, and we see this written lots as teachers. So it's really, really important that we learn that one is spelled O-N-E. O-N-E. Pause here and have a go at writing this word. The next one is has, and a little bit like his, it's that final sound that's tricking us. It's making a z sound, but it's not a z, it's an s. So when we say our word for has, we need to remember it's a H, A, S, has. Your. Now, your is you with an R. That sometimes helps everybody to remember how to spell this one. It's you with an R. So you is a tricky word. You. It sounds like this bit here is tricking us. But when we're talking about your, or, we seem to think that this part here is a bit of a pickle, isn't it? It's definitely being tricky. So we need to remember when we're writing your, it's Y-O-U-R. Y-O-U-R. Your. Pause here and have a go at writing this word down. Fantastic. Now, keep those pieces of paper because tomorrow we're going to use them to play a game. You'll need to make sure that they're not all on one piece of paper, so chop them up and put them to one side for tomorrow. Now, for today's lesson, you're going to need your pencil, you're going to need a whiteboard notebook, and of course, that brilliant brain of yours. Now, as you can see on this picture, I have got some fantastic pieces of clothing, and I'm going to let you into a secret. All these pieces of clothing are magical. So I've got a magical cape, a magical scarf, a magical glove, a magical hair slide, a magical watch, and a very magical shoe. And today we are going to have a go at designing our own piece of magical clothing. So these are just some ideas. I'm sure you'll come up with even better ones than I have. But here's our fairy godmother, and she's coming with some advice. Before we create a magic spell, we must list the ingredients we need. So our fairy godmother has been helping us all week to create spells, hasn't she? And today she wants us to have a look at listing the ingredients. Now, we haven't talked about this part of the instructions, but it's a very, very important part. Now, I've made a list of instructions for creating a magical glove, and here they are. So let's have a look at what the really important features are and what we need to remember when we're writing our instructions. So we've got our title, which is brilliant. We always need to put the title at the top of our page so we know what it is that we're making. Then here I've got a little subheading and it says ingredients, and I've underlined it to show that it is different to any of the other words in my writing. This tells us that below here is going to be a list of ingredients that we will need to collect before we start doing our instructions. So that's two very important things. I've also included a picture of my final product. This is really important too because it lets everybody know what it is that we are creating and what it should look like at the end. Then I come to here. Now this is a list of my ingredients. And there's a few really important things I need to point out to you. The first thing is, can you see these dots? These are called bullet points. And what we do is we put one for every single piece of ingredient that we need to add. So next to this bullet point, I have told you an amount that I need. So I told you I need 200, and the G stands for grams. So I'm telling you I need 200 grams of the shiniest unicorn tears. And I've even added a little picture there for you. So you can now see that you need to get 200 grams of the shiniest unicorn tears that you can find. Then I've given you another bullet point, and again I've given you an amount that I need. So I'm telling you that we need 3 teaspoons of the finest fairy dust. And I've given you a little picture there to show you the fairy's dust. Now, I don't know if any of you have started to spot But one of the suffixes that we've been looking at this week, I've been using in my writing. I wonder if anybody can spot it. The next one, again, another bullet point. And can you see how the bullet points follow down one after another? My next bullet point doesn't start over here. It needs to be in a list. This is what we call a list, when there's one thing and then below that is another, and below there is another, and below that one is another, and below that one is another. It's not like a sentence where we can follow it on the same page. So again, I've given you an amount, 400 grams of the smelliest giant's toenails. Ugh, sounds disgusting. 1 meter of a magician's cape. So again, I've given you an amount. You can see my bullet point, and I've told you exactly what it is that you need to gather. And finally, 7 tablespoons of the hottest melted gold. And again, you've got your amounts and you've got your bullet points. Now, ingredients come before the instructions. So if you think back to yesterday's lesson where we looked at our instructions, they would follow on underneath. Down here, we'd have another little heading and it would say method or instructions. And that is where we would put our numbered instructions, making sure we sequence and order. And that way, it just gives the person who's trying to create the magical gloves an idea of what they need to go and gather first of all, and then they can start making their potion, and they've got everything they need at hand. Now, here are some things which you might like to use for ingredients to help you to create some magical clothes. So here's just some ideas for you to keep hold of. You might need some fairy dust, or maybe some wizard's tears. Maybe you might like to have a tail of a rat, or some tiger's fur, or some giant's bogies. Sounds disgusting. Mermaid tears, dragon's blood, frog slime, a cockroach's leg, a swamp sludge, eyeball, or crocodile's claw. These are just some ideas of what we could put into our writing this week. Keep these in mind because tomorrow you're going to be making a growing potion and you might like to add some of these into your plan. Now, let's get on to today's task. If you're going to do the green task today, I would like you to draw a picture of your magical clothes. Now, I've given you the ideas I came up with at the beginning of the lesson, but you could come up with some much better ones than me. So if you've got a better idea, pick one of your own ideas. If not, and you're struggling, you can always choose one of mine. And then, once you've picked that, I'd like you to have a go at labelling it for me. So remember, labelling means that we're just going to describe what we can see. So you might say red and maybe gold. You might write button. You might write soft. You could write fabric if you were describing this one here. You're telling us all the things that you could see. Remember to use your thread fingers. So if you're going to try and sound out red, remember to take your hand, pop it behind your back and sound out red. R-E-D, red. 3 sounds. Let's pinch those sounds. R-E-D, red, red. And then you can have a go at writing it down. Make sure you use your neatest of handwriting. And good luck. If you're going to do the yellow task, again, your activity is the same as the green task. You are going to pick your own piece of clothing. Again, you could take from my ideas down below or choose something yourself. And then you are going to label it for me. And I would love to see you using some labels containing the suffix est at the end of the word. So you might have darkest red cape, or maybe you'll have longest blue and white stripes, or the whitest glove, the brightest pink. Lots and lots of opportunities here for you to add the est to the end of your adjectives as you're describing them. Good luck. If you're doing the red activity, you are going to have the same. But this time, as well as adding the suffix est to the end of one adjective, I would then like you to try and use another adjective in your work. So, for example, you might put the brightest pink fabric if you were talking about the butterfly clip. Or you might put the pointiest orange spikes if you were talking about the watch. Now, remember, if you're listing two adjectives, you need to remember to pop a comma in between. We've done this before and we've talked about this lots, so hopefully you can remember from previous lessons. Remember, all your hard work, all your fantastic tasks and your brilliant ideas you come up with today, please ask your parents to take photos and send them to us on our tapestry so that all the teachers can have a look at them and see what brilliant jobs you've done. Good luck, and remember, when you're finished, come back on and there's a little activity to just do at the end. Okay, bye-bye. Fantastic, so hopefully you've all done a brilliant picture. Here is one that I've done, but I've made a few mistakes. My spelling isn't brilliant, so let's just have a look and see if you can help me to spot any mistakes that I've made. So I described my glove. I've said I've got the smoothest, fluffy cuff. I can see a few mistakes there. I wonder if you can. Here, I've said I've got my biggest blue star. Oh, who remembers that rule that we talked about? If you've got a vowel and only one consonant afterwards, what do we have to do to that letter? We have to double it, don't we? The last one I've got here is the softest light blue fabric. I can see a mistake. We don't have capital letters in the middle of words, do we? Pause the screen, have a think, and see if you can work out where I've gone wrong. And when you're ready, click play, and I'll show you the correct answers. Fantastic. Hopefully you've spotted the same mistakes that I have. So let's just have a look at these. First of all, smoothest. There's nothing wrong with that. I've got my comma because smoothest is an adjective and fluffy is an adjective. So I broke it up by putting a comma there. So smoothest, fluffy. Ah, yes, it's that Y. If there's an E sound at the end of a word, we usually change it to a Y, don't we? Fluffy, cuff. Oh, and I used the wrong K for cuff. But now I've got the correct one. Then we come over to here. Oh, I did give you a bit of a clue about this one. Hopefully you spotted. Because I have that vowel and only one consonant, before I add on my suffix, I need to double that consonant, don't I? So that's what I've done here. Biggest blue star. And then down here, I've got my softest light. Ah, I did the wrong I, didn't I? I did the capital I, but I needed the trigraph I. So I've got that there now. Light, brilliant. Spelled perfectly now. And finally, blue. I did the ooh, but I needed the ooh, hunt for a clue, not the ooh sound. So it was just working out the alternative spelling that I needed. So now I'm really happy with that and it all looks perfect. Thank you for today. Well done for all your hard work, and come back tomorrow for Thursday's literacy lesson. Bye-bye.